Anna thought she could false chord scream. But after I showed her the real way, she sounds way sicker and can now lose herself in this raw, primal way.
I don't die, my dies!
What's crazy is that before this, she spent a year trying tutorials with no luck. She wondered if there was something wrong with her voice. And guess what? 80% of people are just like she was. So how did she discover her real growls? Well, in this video, I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna first go into the 3 biggest hidden false chord mistakes that I don't see other YouTube tutorials talk about. These mistakes are pretty controversial and they get more controversial as they go on. Then I'll show you how to actually false chord scream. And if you make it to the end, I just might show you something cooler than a fry or false chord. This first mistake is the most common one. When I met Austin, he said that all the tutorials told him, do a deep sigh. But when he did this, he'd run out of air and didn't sound quite as sick as he wanted. After I showed him that he was making this one mistake, he fixed it, and on the same call, did his first false chord growl ever.
It feels absolutely new. It sounds a little better than what I'm trying to do.
Yeah, okay. What was the mistake? Let me explain. Here's an image of a throat, and these are your false chords. So first, you gotta get these tissues to flap. By doing a deep sigh or dog bark, you may be getting these tissues to flap, but the problem is that your throat is wide open, and it's got this big ass hole in it. This hole is how all his air would escape, and that's the first mistake most people make. Trying to false chord scream with no compression. And that's a fancy way of saying you gotta seal off this hole by closing your false chords. That'll stop air loss. Before I did this, I could only count to 3 on one breath.
1, 2, 3.
But now I can count to 10 and I sound way more sick.
7, 8, 9, 10.
Big improvement, but there's still a lot more that goes into false chords. To explain this next mistake, we're gonna play a game. I'm gonna do 4 different types of screams, and I want you to guess which one is the false chord scream.
Right side, turn to the left side, milk a cow, left touch me. Twist left and right, I pinch that tea, don't get him light. I go to the bar and watch NASCAR, I ride a ball and play the guitar.
So which one was the false chord scream? A, B, C, or D? If there's any confusion, this proves the second mistake. You see, there's many different tissues you can use that sound similar to a false chord, so many end up using the wrong tissues. For example, I've met a lot of people that think they're doing false chords, but they're actually using their vocal cords and doing a low fry. And that's what I did for Scream A.
Right side, turn to the left side, milk a cow, left touch me.
Next, a lot of people use these tissues called arytenoids, and that's what I did for Screams B and D.
I twist left and right, I pinch that tea, don't get him light.
Finally, when people use their actual false chords, it'll sound crunchy like chips in a blender without the burpiness and smoothness. And that's what I did for Scream C, the right answer.
I go to the bar and watch NASCAR, I ride a ball and play the guitar.
And by the way, if you're confused about why it sounded so high, I did that to show you that false chords don't have to be low, you just need to use the right tissues. Now I'm going to talk about the most controversial false chord problem. So I had a student who would use compression and the correct tissues, but he still struggled to get a good false chord distortion. As a result, he sounded like a buzzer. It wasn't until I heard him that I realized he was making the third false chord mistake, not adding enough twang. And after using twang, he was able to unlock his false chord distortion. So what is twang? Twang is the effect of lowering your epiglottis, this little hoochie mama right here. And you might be quaking in your boots saying, how do I do that? But it's actually not that hard. Let me show you. So I want you to try and imitate me. If you feel your throat tightening up and it sounds really bright and almost annoying, you're successfully doing twang. Okay, now you know some of the biggest untold problems about false chord screaming. Let's get into how to do it. So there's no one approach that works for everybody, but this approach takes 3 steps, and these will fix the 3 common problems we just went over. This first step will make sure you don't run out of air when you scream, and it's super simple. Just hold your breath. Huh. You're closing your vocal cords, and now no air is leaving your throat. The second step will get you to use the right tissues for a growl. To do this, imagine imitating a buzzer sound like you're on a game show. Wrong, wrong, Now if it sounds dull or blubbery or you run out of breath quickly, then that means you're opening up too much and losing too much air. You want to be able to hold it out for a long time and for it to sound bright. The third step is the step where we finally get the distortion you want by getting the false chords to flap in the right way. You want to take that buzzer sound and add the twang I was talking about earlier. And when you do this, push from your stomach and get nasal. If you do that right, you'll transform that buzzer noise to a full crunchy distortion. So if you maintain that distortion and move your mouth to do different vowels in different shapes, you'll get a whole bunch of sick sounds. 1, 2, 3. ABC. If you got it, congrats. Keep watching because there's more. Now remember, if you can't get this, I don't want you to freak out. That's normal. I've been teaching this stuff full time for years, and there's no one single approach that works for everyone. I see you've made it this far into the video. What if I told you that false chord screaming isn't what you think it was? What if I told you there was a twist? Let me explain. So when I first got started, I'd listen to bands and try and guess what screams they were doing.
Are they doing false chord screams? Are they doing fry screams?
Fries to me sounded wet and gurgly, whereas false chords sounded crunchy. But I would hear bands that were kind of in the middle.
This is your invitation. Get the fuck out if you can take it.
And I'd never know for sure what they were doing. The truth is that a lot of famous bands actually combine both fry and false chord screams together. This is possible by flapping your false chord tissues to get distortion, compressing them, and getting your vocal cords to sputter to get fry distortion. This is called a hybrid scream. And in my opinion, this is the scream that most people actually want to do because it is the best of both worlds. So how do you do this? Well, if you know how to do a fry scream, you can combine that with the crunchy distorted false chord tone that we worked on in this video. If you want to go deeper in unlocking your screams, I'll go more in depth about fries, false chords, and hybrids in a free video training you can get by clicking the link below. It'll show you how to prevent vocal damage, do my favorite warm-up, give you more exercises to do fries, false chords, and hybrids, and shave off years from your scream journey. It'll also show you how to book a one-on-one call with me to critique your screams.
Wow, I'm impressed that you actually do this.
But since I've got limited availability, click the link now. If there's one thing I learned from my false chord journey, it's this. We are more capable than we think.